Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. Deeply in love with niche perfumery and in particular with a brand called BDK, Bada Bing. Came across this brand very early on and I give credit to my perfume pusher, Michael Marzano. He introduced me to this particular fragrance here, Pass This One. I'll tell you a little bit more about this shortly. As a result, this was my gateway and then I started to just go deeper and deeper. They've got so many beautiful fragrances. Michael and I actually created a masterclass on all things BDK. This is found on the Libertine Perfumery website. You can actually buy that class, receive the samples and follow Michael and I as we talk about all things BDK. Now the beautiful people of Libertine Perfumery are giving away a free bottle of Xerjoff. At the end of this video, I'll tell you more. Now this is open to not only Australians, but across the world. Today, what I'd like to do is a bit of a buyer's guide. If you've got this, do you need that? Let me begin by saying, let's take these two here, Rouge Smoking. Each one of them is like two children from one family. They have the same parent. And yes, I guess they've been brought up in the same way and there are similarities to these children, but they are two unique expressions. You can't say this child is identical, just that one's a male and one's a female. These are two unique expressions, and I'll go into detail as to how they differ and why, for me at least, owning this was easy for me to then own this. Now, BDK. What does that actually mean? And the first question that I asked Michael was, what's BDK stand for? Does that mean something? He mentioned to me that the owner of the business, David Benedict, and he said that it's the actual letters from his surname. Now the legacy with David Benedict is that his grandparents came from Romania, established themselves in Paris and set up a perfume store. So he's always been involved in perfumery. In 2016, he decided to launch his own brand and bada bing, here we are today with an amazing collection of fragrances. There is something for everybody. Let me begin with, as I said, my gateway into all things BDK with Pas Ce Soir. And this was the first fragrance that Michael showed me. I became somewhat obsessed with this fragrance. Interestingly, this was not for me. When I smelled this, and for those who are familiar with Pas Ce Soir, it's a sense of addiction. I've never done drugs, so I don't know what it might be like to actually get hooked on something other than olfactory, I guess, intoxication. But when I smelt this, it was overpowering. It was like cocaine to my brain. I decided that this was definitely something that I needed to buy for my wife, Sandra. And the moment that she wore it, this now took it to another level. I could not believe how glorious this fragrance was. I became evangelical. I was telling everybody. I had friends who'd come to me and say, look, my wife's birthday's coming up or whatever it may be. What should I get her? Pas Ce Soir was my only. Don't look at anything else, but anything else? No, just Pas Ce Soir. I became the biggest champion of all things Pas Ce Soir. I think what it is, it's this incredible feminine beauty, this incredible feminine power that radiates from this particular fragrance. It's this balance of the fruit sweet notes with this white floral, with this something else, something a little bit deeper, but can't quite put my finger on it. Originally, I thought this was a gourmand fragrance because it has this beautiful, sweet, pastry-like, something gentle in the air, but there's no vanillas. There is amberwood in the base, and as we know, amber is a constructed note, so there could be some touches of vanilla or something in that particular construct that gives it a beautiful touch. Before I sprayed this, what drew me to it was the name, Pas Ce Soir, not tonight. And the storyline goes that David was coming out of the metro. He saw a beautiful woman coming towards him who seemed to be carrying like a bag of pastries or something of that nature. As she went past, he smelt a mixture of her beautiful white floral fragrance that she was wearing, along with this pastry, this sweetness in there. And as she whisked past him, he thought to himself, Pas Ce Soir. not tonight. I had the opportunity of going to the boutique, which is on Saint-Honoré, and I asked the marketing young lady, here's the video, whether that was a true story. I loved the way she responded. She's like, everything comes from David's mind. There's a little bit of a sprinkling of marketing dust on that particular story, but it captured my imagination. I could see all this, the metro, the beautiful woman, her scent profile and sillage, along with these pastries. And this divine scent. For me, one of the secret ingredients in there, or the magic of the fragrance, is a quince note. I have a quince tree in my backyard, and when it is fully ripe, nice and yellow and plump, I love putting my nose up against that fruit. And it has this sublime, fruity, floral with a touch of vanilla. It's actually quite complex. It's a beautiful scent profile that the actual quince has in nature. I do love the evolution of this fragrance, the way it moves and migrates. It opens up, absolute pure seduction, with this fruity nectar quality to it. This pear note, but mixed in with this like brown sugar or a sugary sweetness, super enticing, alluring on that first spray. As it migrates through, it does go to an orange blossom and jasmine, and I do believe, along with the quince, this is the magic, this wonderful, juicy florals that are in the fragrance. Finally, it dries down to this beautiful floral amber. Absolutely magical from start to finish. It sits on skin so wonderful. Incredible projection. You're now getting a very confident moderate. Beautiful push. The sillage on this is divine. I know when Sandra's wearing it, I am, like that, sort of floating behind her. And 12 plus hours without a problem. This is a great fragrance to take out as your evening for deep into the night, or as a beautiful day fragrance. Spend the whole day with it. The point that I need to address is that this is not a fragrance that I can wear. I have tried. This is feminine power at the absolute glory and most beautiful. This is something that on me, it feels like I'm wearing a suit 10 times too big for me. It just feels awkward and uncomfortable. Whereas when Sandra wears it, it fits like a glove. It's almost like it's been made for her specifically. The next one, Gris Charnel. This is carnal gray. Now, why is that? Why are we calling this gray? You think it's something carnal, you think it'd be red, or, like sin is red, isn't it? The color of sin is always red. I think what David's trying to accomplish here is that moment of dusk. You're in Paris. It is the city of lights, so things are nicely lit, but your sight has been restricted, and you can see figures and silhouettes and shapes in the distance. There is a haziness, that grayness that's around them. However, in the air, you're smelling something absolutely alluring and sensual, and a little bit on the sexy side, the carnal side. And that's the essence of this particular fragrance here. This is a gorgeous date night fragrance. This is something for intimate moments. Interesting though, not erotic. There are fragrances that seem to amplify that sexuality. This is not it. This is more a gentle caress. Skin accidentally touching skin. You're out on a first date, you seem to be vibing with that person, and all of a sudden there's a skin on skin, electricity runs through your brain. This is this fragrance. There is a softness to it. Not necessarily innocence, but definitely a softness to it. A carnal sensuality, but that is not tinged overtly with sexuality. The evolution of Gris Charnel is divine from start to end. There's nothing in this fragrance where you're like, some fragrances you wait for the dry down to occur because the opening might be a little bit too strong or whatever it may be. On the contrary, here, spicy warm. As it then moves through, it does go to this wonderful, sweet, powdery touch. Finally, it dries down to this vanilla, woody amber. It is divine on skin. It does start off quite strong. This is now in that middle ground. It's a nice, moderate scent. And then as it dries down, it just comes down a little bit. Never becomes a body scent. People are coming close to you. They are detecting it. It's something that definitely has great presence, great sillage, and I find that its longevity on skin is 12 plus hours. This is another beautiful date night fragrance, but one that a man can easily wear. I know that when the fragrance first came out, it was designed for a woman, but boys, as a secret weapon, Gris Charnel is seduction on overdrive. Some of the magical notes in this fragrance for me are the cardamom, the black tea note, and that fig. All of these play at the start, but I feel them all the way through the fragrance. The warmth that they provide are gorgeous. This on me, Sandra detects instantly, and she absolutely loves it. The sillage and the presence in the air when I'm wearing this is divine. The next one took some time for me to get into it. Rouge Smoking, the direct translation is a red tuxedo. For some reason, I had this, so Rouge Smoking, I thought it was like a red cigarette or a red smoke or something of that nature. Now, this celebrated the cherry note, and BDK was ahead of its time. And I think this is why I had a hard time with it, because the cherry note early on was not really something that I was really leaning into. I found it very cherry-like. And my second problem was I sprayed on card. When you spray on card, you're getting a very singular expression of this fragrance. In particular for me and for my US friends, think of the red vine licorice or Dr. Pepper. It has that very fizzy, very cherry-like quality to it. It's a little bit over the top. And one that I'm like, really, we're making a fragrance of a red vine licorice? The magic is this. You need to put it on skin. So interestingly, I actually bought Rouge Smoking Extraits first and then jumped across to the original, to the OG. And that gives you an idea of how different these two fragrances are. I've discovered that Rouge Smoking is the perfect fragrance for summer. The other thing I was doing wrong is when I first started testing this, it was over a winter period. It was cool. And this fragrance, for me at least, does not resonate in a winter or a cool environment. There are these almost syrupy, bright, fizzy notes on that opening. And in a cool environment, it just wasn't working. In a summer environment where all of a sudden warm skin, hot sun, this fragrance opens up with this cherry vibe, with this fizzy bubbliness. The violet and also the heliotrope give it almost like a clean soapiness to it. In smelling this fragrance now, this is about a summer landscape. I can see Melbourne, summertime, blue sky, the beautiful river, walking along and enjoying the vibrance that this fragrance now provides. On a first opening, that beautiful fruity, cherry bright scent profile to it. Doesn't linger long. On card, it seems to hang around forever. On skin, it comes out joyful and happy, but then it begins to blend in with those other more powdery notes. You're getting now this airy and bright, fruity touch to it. And finally, it does dry down to a vanilla, fruity place. It can lean a little bit on that feminine side. But I like being across the wheel. I don't want to be restricted by, this is floral. For me, on a man's skin, it works perfectly, but on a woman, divine. Fragrance has great longevity, 8+ hours without a problem, as I mentioned. And this is with sweating. You can go out into a beautiful summer landscape, sweat, get your body nice and warm, and this fragrance pushes off beautifully. The sillage and projection falls comfortably in that moderate. Everyone around you will detect the fragrance. It's not over the top, and this is what I love. It does start off with that very sort of bright cherry note, but on its dry down, there are tinges of that fruit, but mixed in with that heliotrope and that violet gives it this beautiful powdery soapiness to it. It is light, it is airy, it's not a very heavy fragrance and perfect for a summertime. So the OGs, the first ones that came out from BDK, beautiful expressions, fell in love when I first experienced them. However, if you don't have these and you're thinking, I would like to start somewhere, I would say just focus on the extracts. If you do have these, then just focus on the extracts, because this is now at another level where, for those who've seen Spinal Tap, you can bring your dial to 10, but why bring it to 10 when you can bring it up to 11? Rouge Smoking Extrait. Oh mama. Oh mama. I'm actually wearing it today. It's the fragrance of choice. This one here, actually, the truth is this, all three of them, I've become addicted. So that same feeling that I had very early on when it comes to pas ce soir, that sort of, I don't know, that cocaine hit to my brain. Never had cocaine, so I don't know what it's like, but watching movies, these are the ones that actually they bring sparkle and sunlight into my life. They make me so happy. If you haven't had a chance to experience Rouge Smoking Extract, I really encourage you to go out, test it on skin, and see what it does for you. I actually had the privilege of meeting the perfumer, Amélie. I have a touring company, KM Fragrance Tours. We do unique tours, all connected to perfumery. We take guests behind the scenes and give them a chance to obviously experience the fragrance, but now experience the fragrance with the actual creators themselves. Last year we were in France, it was September, and Amélie had this one here stashed away. It hadn't been released yet. We had a chance to experience it firsthand, and it was like, boom, just my brain exploded in overdrive. I couldn't wait. When I came back here, it got released in November, managed to get it off Libertine, and it's one of those fragrances where I just cannot get enough of. And it's one of those fragrances that for me works perfectly in a really cool, cold landscape, but it also works well in summertime. It's one that you can wear of an evening. I wouldn't wear this on the day. This is your day fragrance right here, but this is now your beautiful companion that'll take you into the evening as you go out on that special date with somebody. I love that on opening, you get this cherry, liqueur, amber, this beautiful seductive notes as it opens up. As then it migrates through, it goes to this boozy vanilla. You get this vanilla touch, but it feels like it's being drowned with this liqueur or something really seductive and sensual. Finally, on its dry down, it goes to this wonderful, warm, fruity, ambery place. That cherry note seems to sort of come, it sort of returns again. It starts off not as syrupy as Rouge Smoking original, but it's very discernible. But then when on that dry down, it comes in with this vanilla and this ambery touch. Again, I've got it on skin here. Excuse me. It's just really intoxicating. I've slowly become very addicted to all things cherry. I've got a number of cherry fragrances now. And I realize that I do like the more ambery, the more deeper, the more resinous sort of feeling to the actual fragrance. The more like the benzoins in there and the deep vanillas. That style is what this fragrance is. I love to compare the two. So they both fall into a floral amber, but if I could give them a voice, this would be a floral amber in that pitch, and this would be a floral amber. So both floral ambers, but we're now in a whole different position or a whole different place. I love some of these deeper notes that are in Rouge Smoking Extract. Oud, labdanum, vanilla, and there is a rum note in there too. These are creating incredible density to the fragrance. It sits in the air. The moment you spray, it's almost like it's this little mini universe of molecules that are just floating around you. It's interesting to note that Sandra, my wife, is not a huge cherry fan. However, when I'm wearing Rouge Smoking Extract, she is always complimenting me. She's always like, what are you wearing? What is that? Which one is that one? As I mentioned, the original Rouge Smoking is a little bit more feminine leaning, those fruitier notes, that lighter touch, that more breeziness that it has, whereas the Extract is denser. It's a little bit more luxurious and definitely easy for a man to wear. I find that I get a comfortable 24 hours. And that's no exaggeration. You'll wake up in the morning, you'll be smelling this beautiful, ambery, warm, vanilla, velvety touch on your skin. And when it comes to its sillage and projection, we're talking monster. It has incredible presence, great push, wonderful sillage. Now, I've always loved Gris Charnel. It's one of my early favorites. Sandra loves when I am wearing this fragrance. So I thought it was only logical in getting Gris Charnel Extract, which when I tested, and I did test on skin because I knew I was gonna love it. I thought, wow, Sandra is going to just like swoon whenever she sees me. She doesn't like it. It's a whole new expression on a fragrance. If you look at the notes, there are some similarities there. The cardamom, the beautiful black tea, that fig note. The difference is this. I find that the patchouli in the base seems to have been amplified, and that patchouli comes out, emerges a lot sooner on the fragrance rather than deeper in the dry down. The other part to it, and the reason why I fell in love with it, is that that patchouli has that glorious, musty, camphorous patchouli sensation to it. And that is something that just pushes Sandra right away. It's not something that she is naturally drawn to. The difference between the two Gris Charnel are worlds apart. I find that the Extrait, when it opens up, has this caramel fig sensation to it. That fig note is discernible to me, but I feel like now, and the mental picture that I get is this very plump purple fig and now being drowned in this caramel ambery liquid, sort of rich and seductive. It does move to a beautiful powdery green feeling, and those earlier green notes, that black tea, that cardamom, seem to sort of emerge a lot more. There is a vetiver in the heart of it also, and I do feel like those green notes seem to present more finally on the dry down. It goes to this vanilla, ambery, but in a musty overdrive. So that patchouli, as I said, has really come over the top. And it has sort of been, it's now enveloping the actual, the whole construction of the fragrance. If you love patchouli, patchouli is your thing, Gris Charnel Extrait, bada bing. The interesting thing is this: if you're going on a date and you are with someone that you know and love, and this is your partner, then Gris Charnel is the one that would just be magic. Because as the date goes on, you go home, and if things take a turn for the best, then it's a beautiful fragrance, a very sensual fragrance to be intimate with. However, if you're going out on a first date, you're meeting someone for the first time, I would recommend to you Gris Charnel Extrait, because the scent profile of this is now just, it's everywhere. It begins to create this scent cloud to you. I don't know how you guys play the game. These days I've been married for a very long time, but on first date, well, it's just you're getting to know one another, so it wouldn't go too far, I would say. So it's a great fragrance to get to know somebody. It's something that when they smell this in the air, they're enticed by its beauty. That patchouli, it comes in, but it pulls back, and then this caramel note seems to emerge forward. There is now Madagascan vanilla, just reaches out and pulls that person closer to you. Interestingly, it does have an added ingredient in the base, which is a cedarwood. And so for me, I find that this is a little bit more masculine leaning. When Gris Charnel first was released, it was deemed as, well, it was intended as a female leaning fragrance. Whereas the Extrait, with that extra woody note in there, that cedar-like quality to it, does give it more of a masculine tinge. Having said that though, a woman can easily wear this, as long as you like that patchouli, musty, divine scent profile, which for me is a no-brainer. When it comes to its performance and presence, spectacular. If you want bang for your buck, sometimes you want to buy a perfume that covers all the bases, you know, in the sense of strong sillage, great projection, longevity, boom, bada boom. This is the one for you. 24 hours plus, no problems at all. You'll detect this wonderful, in the morning, you'll detect this gorgeous, musty, ambery, vanilla touch, a slight cardamom in there. The fig note has sort of moved away, but you're still getting the pieces of Gris Charnel. And then when it comes to its sillage and projection, it is a monster, as I mentioned. As a date night fragrance in a large space, divine. This thing here, everybody will know, and well, you'll just be seduction on overdrive, baby. So I mentioned I fell in love with Pas Ce Soir, my gateway into all things BDK. Been smelling this feminine beauty, power, just gorgeous. And then when Sandra wore it, just like, my brain exploded with pure joy and happiness. So it was a no-brainer. When Pas Ce Soir Extrait came out, I thought, bada bing, it makes sense. This is another beautiful fragrance for my wife. In my family, I'm deemed as the spender of all spender. So Sandra will labor over spending $40. This is not a joke. This is a real incident. Should I spend the $40? Should I not spend the $40? What if it doesn't get the value for money? What if I this and what if I that? Whereas me, $400, I'm like, just here, put it on my tab. Here's my credit card, bada bing, just make it happen, baby. I thought, well, it's a no-brainer. Sandra loves Pas Ce Soir. I love it on her. Boom, Pas Ce Soir Extrait. There it is. Now, Sandra sprayed it. And on first spray, her words were, yuck, I don't like this. And that's not even a joke. That's actually the absolute truth. She wore, and I'm like, babe, it's Pas Ce Soir, it's Extrait. I mean, I looked at the notes and they were, I mean, this is why you don't blind buy, but anyway. I'm like, this is what you love. It's got the jasmine, it's got the quince, and it's got the orange blossom. She didn't like it. It wasn't for her. She sprayed it, wore it. She's like, oh, this is yuck. So very sad, I have to be honest, very sad. I left it on the shelf. I'm like, well, Pas Ce Soir, I can't wear Pas Ce Soir, so it's obvious that I can't wear Pas Ce Soir Extrait. Probably months down the track, I was going through my collection, came across Pas Ce Soir, very lonely, on its own, on the shelf, and I thought, you know what, sweetheart, I'm sorry that I did this to you, so bop, I sprayed it for myself. Bada bing, baby. This is the most glorious fragrance in this entire collection. And that is a big call because I love all things Gris Charnel. For me, you know, it's one of those things where what fragrances would you take on a desert island? Well, it would be definitely one of the Gris Charnels. However, depending on how many I'm allowed to take, Pas Ce Soir Extrait would definitely be in that lineup. Now, boys, I know that for those men, boys out there that have tried Pas Ce Soir, have worn it, it doesn't quite work. It's like that suit, as I mentioned, that's 5 times, 10 times bigger than you. I would recommend to you, go and test out the Extrait. This is now a whole new expression, and it's one of those finds, even though I had it, it's one of those finds that just brings happiness and joy into my life, knowing that I can pull this baby off. And I love the fact that it has the pieces of the original, but now goes in a whole new direction. And it deserves to be put on skin. Come here, baby. Ooh, I missed, but it doesn't matter. 3 sprays, no regrets. First you get it in the air and it's like, whew, just pure magic. And then you get it off skin. Now, interestingly, on opening, the best way I can describe it is dirty fruits. It has this unusual scent profile to it. It has this dirtiness. If you love patchouli, then this baby is absolute must for you. And I know now why Sandra does not like it. She's not a patchouli girl. And on opening, you do get that dirty fruit. You get that pear note that is there. You also get a little bit of the orange blossom or quince, but that patchouli is now coming over the top and sullied that whole scent profile. Well, according to Sandra, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, divine. Then as it moves through, it does go to these thick white florals. That's the best way I can describe it. The same white florals that are in the original are there, but now they seem to be denser. There's something else happening. And finally, when it dries down, it does go to a gourmand patchouli. You are getting that vanilla touch. You're getting the early fruit notes that are in the actual fragrance, but now patchouli is in full glory. It's sitting on a throne, it's being fanned and being fed pear and quince. For me, this is a gorgeous patchouli gourmand fragrance, and it works so divine when it comes to its sillage and projection. It is monstrous. The presence that this fragrance has, and yet it is sublime in the sense that it doesn't go, it's not over the top. Sometimes patchouli fragrances can become very patchouli, whereas here, the vanilla and those early fruit notes seems to bring everything back. The longevity on this fragrance is phenomenal, 24 hours plus, like the other extracts. You'll wake up in the morning and you'll detect it. And now, here is the clincher. Sandra does not like this fragrance on her, but on me, it is pure magic to her nose. So the addiction that I get when she wears the original is what she gets when I'm wearing the extract. There's been multiple occasions where I've been wearing Pas Ce Soir Extrait, and Sandra's like, what are you wearing? The first time it happened, I thought she was actually joking, meaning that, because I brought it home again, and I said, look, let's give it another try. I mean, I wore it here, it smells amazing. Babe, just try it out again. She tried, does not work on her. And again, I'm like, well, it works on me. She said to me later in that day, what are you wearing? It smells amazing. And I'm like, I thought she was joking. I thought she was like sort of ribbing me. And I'm like, Pas Ce Soir Extrait. She's like, no, Pas Ce Soir Extrait. Sometime down the road, I wore it again. What are you wearing? Pas Ce Soir Extrait. No way. Third time, and this is the truth, ask Sandra, third time, what are you wearing? On another occasion, Pas Ce Soir Extrait. And she's like, that's it, I need it. Bring it back to the house, I want to wear it. She wore it again. That evening, she went out with her friends, Came back that night. She's like, doesn't work for me. She's like, I do not like that fragrance. I prefer the original, but this one here is designed for me. Yesterday, we were the power couple. Sandra was wearing Pas Ce Soir. I was wearing Extraits. And this glorious scent profile that the two of us were emanating was divine. She was detecting her fragrance without a problem, and I was in patchouli gourmand paradise. Boom, and there you have it, 6 gorgeous fragrances, each one a divine. And in my opinion, you can comfortably have all 6, or if you want to now isolate the ones that are a lot sort of bulkier and stronger, greater presence, the Extraits definitely achieve that. The ones that are more sublime and, you know, beautiful day fragrance, then these 3 here are fantastic. But all 6 are gorgeous and unique, one to each other. Now, Libertine are doing an incredible promotion in the coming weeks. All you have to do is buy any Xerjoff product and you'll go into the draw to win the new Neo Rio. You choose your color that you would like. As we get closer to that promotion, I'll announce it again and give you the date. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.